Welcome. You're listening to Sports Econ 101, the show where we discuss sports topics from a business perspective. I'm your host, Edward Brown, along with my co-host, Russell Jackman. Mike McDowd is off today on assignment. At each commercial break,
a rare video appearance. So put
yeah,
that
that's
on.
true. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, we get to see your kind of fun background there in the championship wrestling and all that kind of fun stuff. Let's see. At each commercial break, we're going to ask a trivia question here. Let's see. I got an easy one, and probably an easy one. I think, Russell, you better go 3 for 3 on this one.
Okay.
Right.
As long as they don't involve Friends, I have a good shot.
No, let's see here. No
That's the
TV
only
shows.
time that you've asked a couple of like baseball ones that were way out there.
Well, okay, this one is actually more like his history from the standpoint, and it's a little bit macabre. Who killed who? And we're not talking about a flu game. It's like real life stuff.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, a little bit on the wild side today. All right. Holy smokes! Brandon Clark, 29-year-old Grizzlies forward, died.
Yeah, he wasn't very old.
No,
I mean, there've been a bunch of deaths that I wanted to talk about.
Okay. I mean, I think they think it's a drug overdose.
Oh, that's really terrible stuff. Yeah,
Especially when these guys, they make so much money. You know, it's like you always hear about guys. Let's say if they're homeless. You know, they got nothing to live for, trying to drown their sorrows. You know, again, we don't know all the details.
I'm involved in professional wrestling, so I know what the other side of it is, which is that, you know, the amount of brutality that you put on your body during, you know, some of them, you know, die through the recreational use, but a lot of guys, you know, are using this stuff because they have no other way to get over the incredible pain that they're under, and they have to work professionally on it.
Tell you what, we got to go to a quick commercial break, but I want to ask you, we come back, did you see the Hulk Hogan special?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that too.
I want to talk about that. Was actually very good. I really enjoyed it. All right, stay with us. Sport Econ 101 will be right back. Don't touch that dial. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. I'm Edward Brown, along with Russell Jackman. All right, so we're just, as we're going to break, we just touched on the fact that both of us had seen that Hulk Hogan documentary.
Netflix documentary, Hulk Hogan, Real American.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Oh yeah, it's there's a lot to take in that even myself, who, you know, is an acknowledged, at least back in the day, Hulkamaniac. I have, you know, a couple of Hulk Hogan, you know, plastic dolls from when I was, you know, a teenager, you know, that I've kept around, because he's iconic. I mean, that you can't really talk the history of professional wrestling without talking about Hulk Hogan. You can't really talk about the 80s and 90s without talking about Hulk Hogan, because he's such a cultural figure. Yeah. But there's a lot to that documentary that shows that the price of becoming a cultural figure is your other identity. When you become so affiliated with a fictitious character that there really isn't any difference between the fictitious character and you. And you could tell during that documentary, he was having a hard time, like, discerning if the actions that he was talking about were those of Terry Bollea or were they of Hulk Hogan. You know, was he doing those things as Terry Bollea, as Hulk Hogan, or was he doing them as Hulk Hogan? You know, or was he doing them as Terry Bollea? And, you know, I think that what you get out of that documentary, or what I kind of got out of that documentary, was that Hulk Hogan was incredible and larger than life and did all these things that people just loved. But Terry Bollea wasn't really all that special a person, and, you know, was fallible like a lot of other folks, and, you know, wasn't the greatest person in the world. He was good to his family.
You know, I mean, doing stuff for the kids and all that. You know, it's interesting. I was just wondering.
He threw a lot of people under the bus too. You know, that he you know, to get where he was, you know, he squashed a lot of people. That was the one big thing about Bret Hart, was, you know, he was really mad that Hulk Hogan, you know, decided to tack on a title run when he
Yeah.
was well past anything close to his prime, and he did it just because he had such a big ego. And there's a lot, and that gets glossed over a little bit. They also don't really talk much about his second wife. They don't talk about,
Barely did, yeah.
yeah, I mean, she just barely gets thrown in there. They don't really talk about the problems he had with Brooke, and they don't talk about his son's problem,
Yeah.
the death that he caused by driving too fast, got in a car accident. You're looking like you've never even heard of this.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was he was looking at prison time, and Hulk, helps push
It's like I
the
probably
scales.
do it. I totally forgot. How many years ago was that?
Oh God, now we're talking more like 15 years ago, 10 to
Yeah,
15
it
years
was a
ago.
while. I mean,
But
that's
yeah,
good.
his
If it wasn't for the Rocky film, though, how popular do you think? I mean, he still would have made it through, you know,
sure,
but
sure, yeah, he could have survived without the Rocky film had they done the same thing with the Rock and Wrestling Connection with MTV. I think that was an even bigger deal that put the WWF in the forefront and made it a cultural thing. I mean, I think even without being involved in Rocky, the fact that WrestleMania was such a big success. I mean, it helped make Hogan a star, but wrestling itself was the star of WrestleMania
yeah, but
one.
a lot of people who were not who did not know wrestlers, they knew Hulk Hogan
Well, they
because
also knew who Mr. T was, right?
that's right. Yeah, in fact, if I understand it correctly, Mr. T used to be a sparring partner for Muhammad Ali.
Yeah, and he was a bodyguard. He was a bouncer,
Well,
but they took one look at him and said, "That's a perfect guy for putting in the ring for
oh yeah, and he was actually a very good actor in that movie too, in Rocky
oh yeah,
Three.
yeah. No, I mean, I said if I had to show one movie to an alien from outer space that said, "Tell me what the '80s were all about," I would show them Rocky 3. Because you've got Sylvester Stallone, you've
Yeah,
got Hulk Hogan,
yeah,
you've got Mr. T. You also have Eye of the Tiger,
yeah,
which was a huge hit back
yeah,
then.
yeah.
And you have just the that just it's you can't really that's an intersection of so many things that are so 80s that you really can't talk about the 80s without mentioning one of those three guys,
Sure.
somehow.
Also, it was very. I mean, if you think about it, they kill off Burgess Meredith, and
Burgess
then
Meredith, yes.
right, and then Carl Weathers, instead of him being a foe,
Winds up
becomes
being the trainer, yes.
a trainer or something. There was a
Yes,
lot.
Carl
That
Weathers.
was my
Yeah,
favorite.
I mean, that movie's just filled with just 80s, like,
Yeah.
it's just dripping with the 80s on it. And James Brown for
Yeah.
the song Living in America. Oh wait, no,
No,
that's
that was
Rocky IV.
Rocky
That's
Four.
Rocky IV. That was Rocky
Rocky
IV.
Four, yeah. Which actually, it's funny. I mean, if you they had some really good music in there in Rocky Four,
Yes.
and I enjoyed it. I watched it a second time like 3 months ago, and I really enjoyed it.
Well, now that we don't like Russia again,
Yeah,
it's
had nothing to do with that. It's funny because the Drago's wife was Sylvester Stallone's real wife.
right for a
Yeah,
little while, and
yeah.
then we found out what
How- They didn't last too long.
Well, no, I think they were together for like 6 or 7 years, but
Oh,
she's just a super nutcase now. She's been
yeah,
on
right.
reality TV a number of times, on
Oh,
those
I recall it.
crazy like living, the house like Big Brother or whatever. They've had her on the show a couple of times. She's
Yeah.
been
It
and
was
she's
very
on
funny.
like Celebrity Rehab and stuff like
Right.
that. Yeah, absolutely.
Of
But
course,
what I got out of what I got out of that, Hogan documentary is that it was what was really weird is that was filmed just 3 months before he died, or
yeah,
4 months before
yeah,
he died. How often is that where you're doing just a documentary on someone and it
yeah.
turns out to be their memorial as well?
Yeah, no, exactly. And we were
It
talking
seems where
earlier
like
about
where the
drugs.
wear and tear was on him.
Yeah.
I mean, they showed his back stuff and they showed all the surgeries that he had, and it's
Exactly. And I see a guy like that, you can kind of see where the drugs, again, part of it is, like when he was in Rocky 3, I mean, he got just huge, from steroids. But A lot of these guys, they like you said, they all the wear and tear and the pain, the knees and the back and all that. You can't just do it with a little bit of Tylenol.
Yeah, kind of have to, because if you go the fentanyl or oxy, remember he was saying that he was eating so much fentanyl that they were like saying that, how are you even alive right now?
Well, it's like my wife when I used to say I wanted to eat some Twinkies, and she said, that stuff's got preservatives in it that last 200 years. I go, how else am I going to live to be 200 years old?
Well, you don't want to live to 200 years in one of those Star Trek like booth things where there's just a light that blinks on for yes and the other one blinks on for no.
Yeah,
You're breathing
you're young for the song from
I'd rather,
Zager
I'd
and
rather,
Evans.
I'd rather have a pretty corpse at age like,
There you go.
80 or something
Or be freeze dried.
yeah,
Have you ever, the song in the year 25, 25,
yes,
Zager and
yes,
Evans?
yes.
That's kind of along the lines. Okay, we're going to go to our first trivia question here. We're talking like, it's kind of, again, it's sort of a death cult questions here. Who killed who? Who killed Lee Harvey Oswald? And we know Lee Harvey Oswald, well, forget the conspiracy theories. We know he had killed JFK, but who killed Lee Harvey Oswald? That is our trivia question. When we come back, let's talk a little basketball. Get into
Okay, and then I have a trivia question back for you then.
ask me now, and then we'll answer when we get back. Go ahead. What's the trivia question?
Okay. There have only been two players that, as rookies, led their team in all statistical categories. Tell me those two players.
In baseball?
Basketball.
Oh, I was going to say Fred Lynn, but that was Rookie of the Year and MVP.
No, NBA. Right. Only two NBA players.
Okay, all right. Stay with us. Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown here along with Russell Jackman. My trivia question was, who killed Lee Harvey Oswald?
Jack Ruby.
Jack Ruby, okay.
And he was killed.
What's that?
Then he was killed.
No. He died of old. He died like of old age, I think. Didn't he in the prison?
I thought he was killed in prison, but I guess.
If he was, it was like when he was in his 80s or something. I think.
Okay,
I'd have to look that one up. That's actually a good one.
Okay.
And I don't think there's much.
But my question to you is that there are only two rookies in the history of the NBA that led their team in all statistical categories.
And they're well-known names?
Yes.
Okay. Magic Johnson?
No. So I'll give you one.
Steph Curry?
That is Michael Jordan was the first one.
Oh, okay. I should have guessed that.
Who was the second?
Shea Gilgeous-Alexander? No. What team?
Close. You're close.
Close with the name or the team?
Close with the year.
The year. What team?
Dallas.
Dallas? Well, he plays for Dallas now, right?
He does.
Yeah. Doncic? No,
Cooper Flag.
Cooper Flag. Oh, wow. He led him in all statistics. That's really now. How many statistics are you talking?
We're talking minutes, games played, field goal percentage, points per game, rebounds, assists, blocks, steals.
That's a lot of statistics.
Well, how do you think he got Rookie of the Year?
Yeah.
So now we can go into the NBA discussion.
All right. Pretty exciting playoffs. You think?
Well, the first round wasn't. The first round wasn't very exciting.
There's a couple of games that were good, but what about the Knicks? Do you think they're going to make it?
They're a scary team.
They
haven't been to a final since Larry Johnson was on the team.
Gosh, I guess it has been that long.
Yeah, that was 2002. Yeah, I know. The Knicks have not. I mean, think about it. Cleveland went a million times in the East, and then you've had like Milwaukee win and so forth. So you haven't really had a lot of representation from New York, but They have a great assemblage of talent right now, and they are already on a mini vacation while Detroit and Cleveland fight each
Yeah.
other to the death. And Detroit didn't make things any easier for themselves yesterday by being up by like 18 points and still losing by like 9 or 10 points in the end. So that might be a 7-game series.
Winning by like 50 points,
Yeah, no, I mean,
dominate.
if you were Atlanta or Philadelphia, you might as well have just not been in the playoffs and got yourself a better draft pick. And by the way, poor Sacramento. Our brethren out in Sacramento, they lose the coin toss to Utah, okay, because they're tied, and so Utah goes into the lottery at 4th place, and the Kings go in at 5th place. Utah goes up 2 spots. Sacramento goes down 2 spots, and Sacramento. So technically, the coin flip cost them 5 draft slots for a team like Sacramento that really can't afford to have to go 5 draft slots down.
What's their deal? They just have bad luck all the time?
Yes, they are. Yes, they really have had the worst luck of any franchise, I think, that has ever
The Atlanta Braves before they finally won a World Series. Now they won 2.
I mean, the Kings had that Beam year, where they played really well, but they didn't follow that up. They let everything kind of dissipate after that Beam year, and now they're back to where they started from again. Being one of the worst teams in the league, and they had like a 17-game losing streak during the year last year. So I feel sorry for them. Steve Kerr re-upped with the Warriors for 2 years, which is interesting because now we got to figure out how the Warriors fans like me have to figure out how are we going to get another win for Curry. With the roster the way it is, it's not good enough right now to win a championship. It's clear they're not better than Oklahoma City or San Antonio right now, and they're probably not even better than Minnesota. Given how well Minnesota's been playing. So we might be better than the Lakers. The Lakers, without Luka Doncic, and I don't know if LeBron's going to stay there. That's going to be a big question. It's going to be a big question if Durant stays on Houston. So there's going to be some big names moving around at the end of the season.
When's LeBron going to retire? I mean, he's still playing pretty well.
I think he wants one more title. I think he really wants one more title to kind of cement him in that 5 championship. Does he have 4 championships or 5?
He's got 2 with Cleveland, and he's got 2. He's got 1 with the Lakers, and he's got 2 with.
No, he doesn't have 1 with the Lakers. Nobody counts that 2020 title. That was pathetic. And the reason why I don't count that is because he didn't follow it up with another championship. If he had, I would say, okay, the fact that that's the only one that LeBron's been to with the Lakers, he hasn't done it in the 82-game season since.
How many games did they play in that season?
Oh, it was like 40 or like 30 or like 35. It was some joke of a season. It wasn't really a season, and they were all playing in front of TV monitors, and they had that weird like basketball city they created in Orlando where all the players had to live in quarantine, and just how can you call that a real honest to goodness championship when if you follow it up in another season by winning, like the way the Dodgers, I don't count that one for the Dodgers, but now that they've won back-to-backs, they legitimately have that, but they didn't win last night. That was a beautiful game by the San Francisco Giants. Anytime I can say, Giants clobber the Dodgers, that's a good, that makes my heart sing.
And they beat Pittsburgh. They beat Pittsburgh in extra innings.
Yes, and all because they got rid of their catcher who can't hit, Patrick Bailey. Even though he's a Gold Glover, they still had to make that decision to drop the Gold Glove so they could, but batting 140, and they put in Jesus Rodriguez, who's batting 400. And he gets the critical hit in the 12th inning that gets the runner home and gets us a clutch win, which the Giants haven't had pretty much all season long.
Yeah, they've been pretty I mean, they're like last in walks and runs and
Now they're climbing up to it now, as they start winning a few of these games, they're climbing back into it, and there's still a lot of season left. But I was glad to see Buster Posey pull the trigger and start making some moves because it obviously was not working the way he was intending.
I was listening to, I think it was Mike Krukow before one of the games. And it was really interesting. He was talking about how, I mean, we all know walks are important, but like specifically, if you're not hitting well and the other teams are focusing in on that, then they're going to be throwing a lot of strikes to you. They're not going to give you a chance to do a lot of walks. And generally, if you fail 7 out of 10 times, that's still really good because you're hitting 300.
Right.
So getting these walks is, like a free hit, so to speak. And then,
Yeah, no, the Giants had played terrible small ball. And when they got guys on first and second, they'd hit into a double play.
Yeah.
And that would, pretty much end that anyway. Even if you walk, if the next thing, the guy swings into a double play on the first pitch and helps the pitcher have a short inning and get out of it, the Giants were not working again.
A lot of teams, there was a time, not like last year or two, they just weren't stealing.
No, but they changed the stealing rules, and they changed the amount that a pitcher can throw back to a base, which I love. I love because I remember going to some Giants games when I was a kid.
15 times in a row.
Yes. And you'd just be sitting there, and then, the batter would call a timeout, and then the ump would call a timeout, and then, and there'd be, a visit to the mound.
Pitch clock is good. I mean, it's funny because as a fan going to a game, you don't want to just like spend a bunch of money to only be there for, let's say, an hour. But what are the games lasting? An hour and a half to 2 hours?
No, like in the 2-hour range, which is fine. Maybe two and a half hours. Although the 12th inning game lasted 3 hours and 50 minutes, but
that's an extra 3 innings. So I'll give you some grace for that. I mean, especially it makes it more exciting. And I like the idea of starting a runner off at second because otherwise these scoring sometimes you'd be zero.
We should do it this way. In the ninth inning, in the 10th inning, nobody on base. 11th inning, you put a guy on first. 12th inning, put a guy on first and second. And the 13th inning, first, second, and third.
You know what? I think that'd be pretty exciting. I mean,
think you have one inning. You have one inning where nobody is on base, and if you're going to win, you have to earn it. You have to get a run in. It's having a guy start on second. I don't like that because it makes it too easy to end the game on a run. Although they're not always.
They each get it.
It goes both ways. And, you can score more than just one run, too. So.
Exactly. Okay, you ready? Here's our next trivia question here. It's from your favorite topic, the Bible. Who killed Abel in the Bible?
Yeah, okay.
You better know this one.
Yeah.
Yes, you do. I kind of figured you do.
Yes.
And this is the first, I guess it's the first recorded death, isn't it?
Yes.
Well, that's our trivia question. And I got a quick little snippet on that. Actually, what happened was when Eve, God ends up kind of going, "Hey, what happened here?" Well, Adam said, "Hey, well, this woman you gave me, I mean, she's the one who made me eat it," and she blamed it on the snake, right? And the snake, he didn't have a leg to stand on. All right, stay with us, Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back. Don't touch that dial. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101 one more time. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Russell Jackman. Mike McDowell will be with us next week. All right, second trivia question. Who killed Abel?
Wait, you said that the snake didn't have a leg to stand on? That's because he was a creep.
Very good. Okay, I'm going to add that to that joke. That's good. Very good, my friend. All right, who killed Abel in the Bible?
Cain.
There you go.
But not Herb Cain.
Not Herb Cain. No, Herb Cain was
almost as old as that.
Yeah, that's true.
My dad was actually in Herb Cain's column twice.
What?
One time when, sadly, he was sharing a space with a psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist had this guy McCuskey and he's gone now, so I can say whatever I want about him. He was a nice guy. He was like the calmest, nicest guy in the world. Had the psychoest patients that San Francisco had to offer. And the two patients were sitting in the waiting room. And this is back when you could smoke.
Yeah.
And one of the patients was having a cigarette. The other patient said, can you spare a cigarette? The guy said no. And the other guy took a knife out and stabbed him in the waiting room.
There you go.
So there was murder in my dad's office.
What's with that story?
What?
Of course, if someone doesn't share a cigarette with you, they deserve to get stabbed, right?
You might consider it. What's the cost of one cigarette?
Your dad was a psychiatrist?
No, my dad was an internal medicine doctor, but he shared office space.
Oh, sure. Oh, okay, got it.
450 Sutter. And then there was a big gas leak at 450 Sutter, and my dad was out on the street treating people for gas. Oh, and then after all that, his rent went way up, and Herb mentioned him in the column about the rent going up.
So for those who don't know, 450 Sutter is the major medical building for offices.
The most Art Deco building in the world outside of the Empire State Building.
Yeah, I guess it is pretty good.
You can't get anything more Art Deco than
I've been in that place a few times. What's funny is, so I had a client who was a psychiatrist in Marin here, and it was one of those situations where you walk in one door and then the patients would walk out a separate door so that you wouldn't have privacy, right? And at the time, I was selling like life insurance and that sort of thing. So my client comes out and he's by himself because the patient I didn't see, was somewhere else. And he goes, oh, you didn't see that patient, did you? And I said, no. And he goes, that guy's crazy. I go, wait, you're a psychiatrist. I think you're not supposed to use those words.
Yeah, no, you really aren't. But you do that for enough years, and you do know who the really crazy ones are.
Oh, yeah.
So okay, next topic.
Yes.
On the list.
Go ahead.
For you, what did you have?
Oh no, I was mentioning about Brandon Clark passing away. From
and that reminds me. We also had Cox die. The manager for the Braves.
Oh, yeah. Cox,
Brian,
yeah. Couldn't cut. Yeah,
Brian Cox. Is it Brian?
Bobby
Cox, and then Ted Turner dying. And you could say, one could say, well, what does Ted Turner have to do about sports? But he had a lot to do with sports, with the way that he took care of the Braves and made the Braves into just, a powerhouse. Even though they only won one championship, they represented the NL.
Only won the second one.
Yeah, they went to they represented the NL in
but they won something ridiculous, like 13 divisions in a row or something.
Yeah. I mean, and you look at the lineup. I was talking about it with my friend last night. I mean, maybe it was the best pitching lineup that we've seen in our lifetime if you just summed it all up. Each one of the pitchers. You had Maddox, you had Smoltz, you had Avery.
Avery, yeah, that's right. And then who was the one that starts with a G?
Glavine.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all just legendary pitchers, I mean, they were really they all pitched like 40 games in the season. It was crazy.
I know. That was quite crazy. I'm just watching this guy gets a 2-year ban for driving. What did he do? He arrested and banned for ramming his car in the pits, knocking over crew members. Ubers.
What, he just drove onto the course and
yeah, he just drove. I don't know.
Let me guess he was drunk.
This looked like much. I don't know.
Let me guess he was drunk.
No, it's just a racer, and I don't know.
One of the competitors.
Yeah. But I don't know. I forget that. Forget what I just mentioned. That doesn't really seem like anything. Football season is going to start, I guess, pretty soon, huh?
Yeah, very soon. And there's some weird stuff about Brandon Ayuk posting a video about him, showing how much money he has and showing all of his jewelry and all this stuff. And just, I wonder what team is going to want to bring him on board. In fact, I mean, Juwan Jennings could have signed with the 49ers for $17 million. He winds up signing for like $9 million with the Vikings, costing him like about like $8 or $9 million a year, thanks to just being a pig-headed, braggart that thought he was worth so much money.
Okay, so what happened? Educate us all. They 49ers offered him 17 million and he declined it.
He wanted 20.
Oh, brother.
And he winds up getting, I think, 9.
Boy, what a lesson that is for other players. I mean, it's one thing if you want 100 million and you got 17. Okay, that's a big difference. That, of course, you and I would be happy with the 17 anyway. But what's the difference between 17 and 20? I mean, I know the number is 3, but it's like,
I mean, there's weird, it's. Oh, I'm sorry. 1 year for 13 million. So it cost him $4 million to go and switch teams.
Okay, so he wanted 20 and he was offered 13.
Yeah, finally, when all the dust settled.
Well, you take your chances, don't you?
Yeah,
I mean,
no, he cost himself $4 million
player, but not a $20 million player.
And he would probably be on, I think, a better team because the Vikings didn't even make the playoffs last year.
Yeah, funny. Sometimes these guys are just more looking at the money side of it rather than the championship side.
But then again, if you're, Trent Williams, you're laughing all the way to the bank because every year he signs a contract, he refuses to honor it unless it gets renegotiated to something higher. So I think he and Curry have that 2-year contract going.
I'm just kind of curious. When do the owners get to say, yeah, you know what, you're just not, I'm going to renegotiate because you're just not playing well enough. Or maybe you are playing well enough, but I'm not going to pay you just because.
Players union. That's the problem.
Players union.
Yeah, they'll all go on strike if that happens. But but kind of the 49ers did do that with Brandon Ayuk. They said, Brandon, if you don't, you do have stuff in your contract that says if you don't go and work out a minimum number of times, if you don't, show up to team practices and team meetings, we get to cut your contract off.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of no-brainer type stuff. It's one thing to say, hey, you tried your best, but you dropped a few balls. And so we're going to, we want to cut your pay or something like that. Or, you can't have that in the contract. But to just have simple things, you can easily decide, yeah, I'm going to show up for practice. I'm going to show up for team meetings or whatever.
Well, yeah, I wonder why the other team would want to pick up a guy like this.
Look at the Indiana, college quarterback Mendoza. He turned down. And it wasn't a political thing, but he turned down going to the White House because he said, you know what, I'm part of a team now, and I need to show respect to my teammates, and it's the Raiders of all teams, who they're probably not going to do too well, but it's like that's a great attitude to have.
Yeah, no, I mean, he unfortunately, he's getting thrown into the lion's den. Except not the Lions themselves, but he going on the Raiders is tantamount to career suicide if you're a player these days. Just look at how badly they messed up that one trade for the defensive player in the off. Yeah,
that's Crosby.
Yes, Crosby. Yeah, the way they mishandled that deal. I think he's still on the Raiders, isn't he? Did he wind up getting traded off in there?
But Mark Davis is no Al Davis, that's for sure.
No, he's not even Jim Davis, who's the artist of Garfield.
Garfield, yeah. So when you said Jim Davis, I go, wait a minute, that sounds like Garfield.
And he's not the heralded Jack Davis. Now, let me throw that one out to you. Artist Jack Davis.
Jack Davis. He
did a ton of Mad magazines.
Was that Jack Davis?
Yes. Go look it up sometime, and you'll see. Go look up the art of Jack Davis. And you'll go, I've seen him. What?
Does Mad magazine still exist?
Sort of. They come up with special issues every once in a while. I think they have a website, but
Oh,
you know,
we used to love that when I was a kid.
the original authors, Alf Jaffe was the last guy from Mad Magazine, and he lived to age 102, but he
Wow.
died. So that ought to tell you how old everybody
Yeah.
was in Mad. They were all from the 40s and
It's funny.
50s.
I went to school with a young man who looked exactly like the magazine. What's the guy's name? Who?
Alfred E. Newman.
Yes, he looked
Wow.
exactly like
That
him.
guy, talk about getting an unfortunate fate in life if you wind up looking like Alfred E. Newman.
Nice guy. It's like, wait a minute, you look just like the Mad Magazine
Not
guy.
the celebrity you wanna most resemble. I'll tell you that much.
Alfred
Absolutely.
E. Newman. Yeah. All right. Then we got another minute before we get to our last break.
Let me see what other big topics can I throw out there. Well, my prediction that Oklahoma City, it was the field against Oklahoma City. I feel pretty good about my prediction on that one still.
Yeah, they're
Against
correct.
Oklahoma City. Right now, I think it would be the Knicks against Oklahoma City. So that should be
That'll be good. That'll be a good one.
pretty good
Jalen
fight.
Brunson, man, that guy is a force to reckon with.
But Oklahoma City is just too deep. And since they've gotten Hartenstein back, he was injured a lot during the season. They didn't miss much of a beat. I mean, they won 64 games without him, pretty much. And now that they have him, that combination of Chet Holmgren, my friends and I were talking. We just said the battles between Chet Holmgren and Webb Mignogna for the next decade are going to be like bird magic.
Huh.
Except with the two giants.
Yeah.
Two guys who are one guy 7'4", one guy 7'2", facing each other. But they're both.
Wemby's got the advantage on that. Hey, let's get to our last commercial break here. Ready? You better get this one too.
Oh.
Do you remember the name?
Yeah, I sure do.
And you got to give me
football.
first, middle, and last name. Right? And I've got a little mini story about that, which is kind of ironically sad, but sad enough that they killed John Lennon, which why would you kill John Lennon? Anyway, stay with us. You're listening to Sports Econ 101. Don't touch that dial. We're going to be back with some closing comments. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Last time for today, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Russell Jackman. Third trivia question: who killed John Lennon?
Now, I think I forget the whether it's the last name, the middle name, or first name. Was it John David Chapman or was it David John Chapman?
Mark David Chapman.
Oh, Mark David Chapman.
Mark David Chapman.
I got two of the three names right there.
And here's kind of a weird fact. So there was going to be a movie made, and I don't know if they ended up making a movie about his life, death, and all that stuff. And they got this guy who looked like John Lennon and sounded like John. I mean, this guy was the perfect character, right? To cast him. Turns out the guy's real name was Mark Chapman. And they said,
wow, that is wild.
No, we can't cast you. I mean, he should have got a fake name, but they go, we can't. That'll be really.
They called him, John Doe in the in the credits, and it just happened.
I know. They should have figured out a way to do that. Hey, about my silly pun of the week. Here we go. I just built an ATM that only gives out coins. I don't know why no one's thought of it before. It just makes sense.
Makes sense. Well, nothing makes sense anymore.
That's true. You're right. They stopped doing that.
Yes,
okay, you ready?
Skunks do.
Skunks make sense. That's a good one. Russell. That's a good one. Okay, here's our thoughts for the day. I figure I need a 6-month vacation twice a year. And laziness is nothing more than the habit of resting before you get tired. Isn't that true? You like that? All right, audience. Tune in next week for Sports Econ 101. Mike McDowell will join us. Russell will be here. We'll be discussing more sports topics from a business perspective and asking more trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm your host, Edward Brown. We'll see you next week.
Adios.